Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something no one else will. Confidence isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in silence. It's built in the moments when no one is clapping, no one is watching, and you're still choosing to rise. While the world is busy performing, the real ones are evolving. If you're tired of pretending, tired of seeking validation, and ready to become unshakable from the inside out, then stay right here, because this is where the real transformation begins. When you decide to work on yourself, the first step is accepting the parts of you that you've been taught to hide. The chaos, the insecurities, the moments of weakness, they're not signs of failure, they're proof that you're human. Most people walk through life pretending to be something they're not, just to be accepted by people who don't even know their truth. But real strength begins the moment you stop pretending and start embracing. Stop trying to erase the past. Let it teach you, let it mold you, but never let it define you. What you've survived is not your shame, it's your strength in disguise. Growth isn't about becoming a new person. It's about finally allowing the real you to come through. You can't work on what you keep running from. Face it, hold it, heal it. That's where your power begins. You don't need validation to evolve. The most dangerous thing you can ever do is hand over the pen of your story to someone else. People will label you before they understand you, and most won't even try to understand. That's why owning your chaos is so powerful. It disarms judgment. No one can weaponize what you've already embraced. They can't hurt you with the truth when you wear it like armor. The world has a way of silencing people who dare to be different, but silence them back with your transformation. Be so focused on your own evolution that outside noise feels irrelevant. Real work on yourself happens when you no longer let someone else's opinion steer your direction. You become unstoppable when your self-worth isn't up for debate. There will be moments when you doubt your strength, when your past feels heavier than your future. That's normal. You're not weak for feeling it. You're wise for confronting it. Strength isn't built in peace. It's carved in chaos. Every scar carries a lesson, and every mistake carries wisdom. Don't bury your battles, study them. When you do, they become your blueprint for growth. People may never know what you had to fight through, and they don't need to. Your job isn't to explain your pain, it's to rise from it. Sometimes working on yourself feels lonely, because not everyone will understand why you're changing. But that loneliness is temporary. The self-respect you gain is permanent. The world is obsessed with perfection, but perfection is a lie. What makes you magnetic is your authenticity, the ability to show up as you are, flaws and all. When you work on yourself, it's not about becoming flawless. It's about becoming fearless in your truth. When you stop hiding, you start healing. Growth begins where pretending ends. You can't outrun the mirror. It always shows you what you need to face. So stare into it, not with shame, but with intention. You don't need to fix who you are. You need to find who you were before the world told you to be less. Every day you choose truth over image, you get one step closer to real freedom. There's power in being vulnerable with yourself. You don't need to announce your transformation to the world. The real shift happens in silence. When you admit the habits that hurt you, the thoughts that limit you, the choices that don't serve your future. That's where the real work begins. Growth isn't aesthetic, it's messy, it's painful, it's full of uncomfortable truths, but it's worth it. Because every time you choose to show up, even when it's hard, you're rewiring the narrative you were handed. You're becoming the version of yourself that doesn't seek approval, only alignment. And when you reach that space, peace becomes your baseline, not your goal. You owe it to yourself to break the cycle. The one that told you to shrink. The one that said you were too much. The one that made you question your worth based on someone else's comfort. Working on yourself means outgrowing the boxes others tried to trap you in. You're not here to fit into someone else's expectations. You're here to rise above them. Let your growth be so undeniable that they don't recognize the old version of you. And if they don't like it, that's okay. You're not changing for them. You're evolving for you. Your potential doesn't need permission, only purpose. Working on yourself is not just about adding new habits or routines. It's about deleting the lies you've believed for too long. It's about unlearning the idea that you must earn love, prove worth, or hide your pain. You are not broken. You are becoming. And becoming is a process, not a performance. Let go of timelines. Let go of comparisons. Your journey doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be valid. The only metric that matters is how deeply you're connected to your truth. When you start aligning with that, everything else follows: confidence, clarity, and conviction. Not everyone is meant to understand your journey, and that's a sign you're doing it right. When you work on yourself, you start realizing who was there for your comfort and who is there for your growth. Don't be afraid to lose people who never saw your worth beyond what you offered them. You are not here to be easy to deal with. You're here to be honest with yourself. Sometimes that means walking alone, but even solitude becomes sacred when you use it to rebuild. Learn to enjoy your own company, because that's where your real identity is shaped. Not in crowds, but in quiet. Not in approval, but in alignment. The moment you stop chasing external recognition and start recognizing your own inner power, everything shifts. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently, because now you're moving with intention, not desperation. The work you do on yourself will never be loud, but its results will echo through every area of your life. People will notice the glow, the groundedness, the clarity, but only you will know how much it took to get there. And that's okay. Let your growth be your secret power. Rooted, unshaken, and deeply earned. The kind of power that no one can give you and no one can take away. So start where you are, not where you think you should be, not where the world says you need to be, but right here, in your rawness, in your truth, in your now. Because working on yourself doesn't require perfection. It only requires honesty, courage, and commitment. The journey is yours alone, but the impact will be felt by everyone you touch. Be the kind of person who isn't afraid to face the mirror and say, "This is who I am, and this is who I'm becoming." That's how you turn pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom, and life into legacy. Discipline is the thread that holds greatness together. Talent is powerful, but without direction, it drifts. You can have dreams, passion, ambition, but without consistency, those dreams become dust. Discipline doesn't show up in public applause. It shows up in private choices. It's the decision to get up when no one is watching, to do what's hard when no one is forcing you. It's the quiet promise you make to yourself and keep even when motivation fades. Anyone can feel inspired for a moment, but discipline is what keeps the fire alive when inspiration runs out. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's what separates those who wish from those who win. When you decide to work on yourself, the path isn't supposed to feel comfortable. It's built on routines you don't feel like following, actions that stretch you, and sacrifices that demand patience. You won't always feel like doing the work, but that's exactly why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It depends on mood. But discipline, it becomes part of your identity. It's what kicks in when everything else gives up. It doesn't need applause, and it doesn't care about comfort. It simply shows up. And the more you show up, the more your mindset changes, your habits shift, and your entire life starts to reflect that silent strength. The world celebrates the final product, but it rarely acknowledges the process behind it. No one sees the nights spent studying, the hours at the gym, the painful self-reflection, the rejected ideas rewritten again and again. But it's discipline that carries you through all of that. It keeps you steady when results don't come fast, when progress feels invisible. And the truth is, results are never instant. They are slow, gradual, and sometimes discouraging. But discipline teaches you that progress isn't measured by speed. It's measured by effort. When you show up with discipline every day, you are building a foundation so solid that nothing can break it. Discipline will make you do the uncomfortable. It will separate you from crowds chasing convenience. It will put you in positions where you're forced to choose between ease and excellence. Most people will choose easy. But if you're serious about growth, you won't. You'll choose to rise, to push, to work even when no one's watching. And the more you do that, the more you distance yourself from average. People might call it obsession. They won't understand the fire behind your focus. But let them misunderstand. You're not building a life for their approval. You're building one that feels powerful even in silence. You will not always feel like showing up. Some days will be harder than others. But it's in those days, those exact moments, where discipline sharpens you. It's easy to keep going when everything feels good. It's hard to keep going when your energy is low, when the world feels heavy, when nothing around you encourages growth. But those are the moments that shape your future. That's where real mental toughness is born. You don't build strength in comfort, you build it in resistance. Every hard choice you make reinforces your commitment to your vision, and with time, that becomes unstoppable. Discipline is what keeps your promise alive when the world throws distractions your way. It's what helps you say no to temporary pleasures for long-term peace. It rewires your brain to delay gratification, to invest now for rewards later. It shifts your focus from quick results to lasting impact. And when you start living with that mindset, you become untouchable. Your self-control becomes your freedom. You stop reacting to every impulse. You stop being controlled by moods, temptations, or noise. Instead, you become grounded in purpose. That is the gift of discipline. It gives you power over your own life. It's easy to say, I'll start tomorrow. But discipline teaches you the power of starting now. It's not about waiting for the perfect time. It's about honoring your goals in the middle of chaos, distractions, and imperfection. That's what makes it powerful. It shows up even when life doesn't go as planned. Discipline doesn't need ideal conditions. It thrives in reality. And the more you train yourself to follow through, the more confidence you build. You begin to trust yourself. You don't need external validation to believe in your direction. Because deep down, you know the work you've done. You've earned every step. People often confuse discipline with punishment, but it's actually the opposite. Discipline is an act of love. It's choosing to protect your energy, your future, your values. It's saying, I deserve more, and proving it with action. It's respecting your time, your goals, and your boundaries. It's not about restriction, it's about direction. Without it, you drift. With it, you rise. The most successful people aren't the ones who always had it easy. They're the ones who kept showing up, no matter how hard it got. And what kept them showing up wasn't luck or genius. It was relentless discipline. Every day is a chance to choose between who you were and who you're becoming. And every time you choose discipline, you close that gap. You stop operating from past habits and start operating from future vision. The more you practice it, the more it becomes second nature. It's no longer something you force, it becomes who you are. That's the secret no one tells you. Discipline isn't a burden, it's your freedom. It gives you the power to control your choices, your focus, your life. And when you realize that, the hard moments stop feeling like punishment. They start feeling like progress. Working on yourself is never just about goals or achievements. It's about becoming a person you can be proud of, a person who follows through, a person who keeps promises even when it's hard, a person who stands strong in purpose, not just performance. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're meant to be. It's what transforms dreams into reality and chaos into clarity. And while the world may not notice your efforts right away, your life will, your mindset will, your confidence will, and one day your results will speak so loudly that you won't have to explain how hard you worked. They'll already know. The most powerful decision you can ever make is to rewrite the narrative that was handed to you. You are not what others say you are. You are not the limitations society placed on your shoulders. You are not the opinions of those who never took the time to understand your depth. Working on yourself means questioning the version of you that was created by pressure, fear, and expectation. It's about stepping away from the roles you were told to play and finally discovering, who you are when no one is watching. It's about breaking the mold that was never meant for you. You don't need to be what the world told you to be. You need to become who you were before the world told you not to. That's where true transformation begins, in your decision to reclaim your identity. Too many people spend their lives trying to fit into boxes built by others. They live afraid to stand out, afraid to make noise, afraid to be different. But growth does not happen in conformity. It happens in rebellion. Not rebellion for the sake of defiance, but rebellion for the sake of self-respect. When you start working on yourself, you stop asking for permission to be who you are. You realize that your truth is not a problem to solve, it's a fire to unleash. The rules that kept you small were never written for your evolution, they were written to keep you controlled. You are not here to make others comfortable, you are here to become undeniable. There will always be people who try to remind you of who you used to be. That's because they're more comfortable with your past than your potential. But you are not obligated to stay in a version of yourself that no longer fits. Working on yourself means having the courage to grow beyond familiarity. It's being brave enough to walk away from the identity you outgrew, even if that identity brought you acceptance. Sometimes you lose people when you choose growth. That's okay. Let them go. Your evolution isn't meant for everyone. Some people are attached to the outdated version of you because it served their needs. But you're not here to be convenient. You're here to be real. The world often teaches you to play small, to doubt yourself, to shrink your dreams until they're manageable enough for others to understand. But the truth is, working on yourself means becoming so self-aware that you no longer need external validation. You stop asking for permission to dream big. You stop waiting for someone to clap before you move. You learn to clap for yourself. You begin to understand that your vision is enough, even if no one else sees it yet. That's the power of rewriting your story. You no longer live for applause. You live for alignment. And in alignment, you find peace that popularity could never give you. Changing your life starts with changing your mind. It starts with challenging the beliefs you inherited from fear, failure, and flawed systems. You were taught many things growing up, some of it helpful, most of it limiting. Working on yourself means unlearning the belief that you're not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. Those are not truths. They are lies disguised as tradition. Every time you challenge those lies, you take one step closer to freedom. You begin to see that worth is not something to be earned, it's something to be claimed. And once you claim it, everything about how you move through life begins to change. You will not always feel ready to break the mold. You will feel fear, hesitation, and uncertainty. That's normal. Growth is not about being fearless. It's about choosing truth in the face of fear. You don't need all the answers to begin. You just need the courage to take the first step. When you start rewriting your story, you're not erasing the past. You're redefining what it means. You're saying, this happened, but it doesn't define me. I define me. That shift is where your power begins. You stop being a victim of your story and become the author of your destiny. Every step you take toward the life you truly want will require letting go of what you've known. And that's not easy. Familiar pain often feels safer than unknown healing. But you cannot heal in the same environment that broke you. You have to walk away from the version of life that taught you to settle. Working on yourself means trusting that something greater is ahead, even if you can't see it yet. You don't need certainty. You need courage. You need faith in the process, faith in your strength, and faith in the version of you that's waiting to be born on the other side of fear. Sometimes working on yourself means walking alone, not because you're unloved, but because your path is sacred. You are building something no one else can see. That takes silence. That takes solitude. But in that solitude, you meet yourself. You discover your values, your voice, your vision. You learn what truly matters and what no longer deserves your energy. And when you emerge, you are no longer desperate to be understood. You become grounded in truth. You stop chasing approval and start attracting alignment. That's how you know the story is changing. Because peace becomes your new standard. You were not created to repeat cycles. You were not made to live on autopilot, fulfilling someone else's dream. There's a voice inside you that knows this. The one that gets louder every time you sit in silence. That voice is not your enemy. It's your compass. Listen to it. Follow it. Let it lead you out of the patterns that kept you stuck. You don't need to continue the legacy of limitation. You can build a new legacy, one rooted in strength, clarity, and self-respect. That's what working on yourself really is. Remembering your power and refusing to play small any longer. So choose today to start fresh, not because your past is something to run from, but because your future deserves your full attention. You don't have to wait for a crisis to grow. You can choose transformation in the middle of an ordinary moment. That's the beauty of working on yourself. It's available anytime. You are the writer. You are the creator. You are the change. Don't let anyone tell you who you are. Don't let history trap you. Your story is still being written, and this time the pen is in your hands. Make sure every word knows the power, purpose, and possibility within you. Confidence isn't something that arrives wrapped in applause or handed to you in public. It's built slowly, quietly, when no one is watching. It's the result of the moments you show up for yourself when everything inside you wants to quit. Real growth doesn't need an audience. It needs honesty. The silent nights of reflection, the early mornings of discipline, the tough conversations you have with yourself, those are the building blocks. When you stop chasing the spotlight and start focusing on who you are becoming behind the scenes, your power deepens. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. You feel it. You own it. because you've done the work that no one saw, and that kind of confidence cannot be faked. Working on yourself doesn't begin with a big declaration. It starts with small, consistent choices. It's waking up and deciding to push past your excuses. It's turning pain into purpose without needing to post about it. You don't need to announce every move to prove you're evolving. The strongest growth happens in the dark, far from validation, far from recognition. You keep promises to yourself quietly. You do the work even when you don't feel like it. And slowly, without realizing it, your inner world shifts. You stop needing the world to notice because you notice. And that self-recognition is more valuable than any praise could ever be. There's a difference between looking confident and being confident. Looking confident is easy. You can dress it up, speak louder, wear a mask. But being confident is earned. It's rooted in what you know about yourself when no one is around. It's built through trial, failure, courage, and getting back up. You can't fake the inner security that comes from surviving your storms. That kind of confidence isn't loud. It's steady. It doesn't try to impress. It simply exists. And the people who truly grow are the ones who no longer feel the need to perform strength. They've lived it. They've bled for it. They've built it brick by brick, from the inside out. The quiet work you do on yourself changes the way you walk into a room. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because you no longer need to. You stop craving attention and start creating impact. You become someone who commands respect without asking for it. That's what happens when you build from within. You don't move with desperation, you move with clarity. You don't operate from fear, you operate from knowing. And that shift is magnetic. People may not be able to explain what changed, but they'll feel it. That's the effect of internal work. It speaks without needing to shout. The world teaches us to be loud about our wins and silent about our struggles. But real growth flips that. You become proud of the inner work, the healing, the discipline, the boundaries. You stop hiding the process because you understand the value of it. You're not ashamed of taking time to rebuild. You stop comparing your journey to others because your focus shifts inward. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room when you know who you are. And the people who truly know themselves don't seek validation. They embody it. Their confidence is quiet but undeniable, not because they've arrived, but because they're aligned. There is nothing more powerful than someone who's done the work silently and emerged unshaken. They know what it took. They remember the tears no one saw, the doubts no one heard, the breakthroughs no one celebrated. They've carried themselves through seasons of self-doubt and kept going. That's why their presence feels different. It's rooted in resilience. And that kind of energy cannot be copied. It's forged through the kind of commitment that doesn't ask for permission or praise. It simply exists because it has been earned. That's the kind of confidence that leaves a legacy. People often think confidence comes from what you achieve. Base I am. Hurt, that's only part of the story. True confidence comes from who you become in the process. It's not about the result. It's about the relationship you build with yourself along the way. It's knowing that you didn't give up on you. It's choosing yourself over and over, even when it was easier not to. That relationship becomes your foundation. It grounds you when everything else feels unstable. It reminds you that your value doesn't rise and fall with external validation. You are enough because you've proven it to yourself, quietly, consistently, and powerfully. The strongest people aren't always the ones who talk the most. They're the ones who listen to themselves, who trust their own voice even when it shakes, who show up even when it's hard. Working on yourself teaches you to rely less on noise and more on intuition. You stop second-guessing your worth because it's no longer up for discussion. You've built it. You've lived through the darkness and still found your light. And that quiet light doesn't need a spotlight. It glows from the inside. That's why the people who've grown the most often speak the least. They don't need to explain what they've lived. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You just have to be real. And real power comes from self-respect, from boundaries, from discipline, from knowing who you are and refusing to shrink to make others comfortable. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. When you work on yourself in silence, you start to see what truly matters. You're not swayed by trends or desperate for validation. You become grounded in truth. Your confidence isn't fragile because it's not based on outside opinions. It's built on inner trust. And that's what gives it staying power. That's what makes it unbreakable. So don't be discouraged if no one sees your growth yet. Don't let the silence fool you. The most powerful changes often happen quietly. Keep doing the work, keep showing up, keep proving to yourself that you are worthy, capable, and unstoppable. Because confidence doesn't need an audience, it just needs commitment. The version of you you're building in silence is the one who will change everything. Not just for you, but for everyone around you. And when that version finally speaks, the world will listen. Not because you demanded attention, but because you earned it.